Post Haryana election results, everybody is wondering as to why the Haryana election was completely the opposite of what everyone expected. What went horribly wrong with Congress and what went right for the BJP, despite a swell of sentiment which was against the party. Now, today, Mallikarjun Kharge had called in a review meeting on Haryana elections, and Mr. Ajay Makan, Mr. Ashok Gehlot, Mr. Deepak Babaria, they were all there, and they said that it's not possible to discuss all the points in about 2 or 1.5 hours of meeting. But the big question is that the people who are suspecting that this election has been hacked, this election was rigged, what would you do to these allegations? And will those allegations be addressed? What is the larger message from the Haryana elections? Because coming as it does, just on the eve of Maharashtra elections, when the dates are just about to be announced for Maharashtra as well as Jharkhand. So what are the big takeaways from the Haryana election for the India Alliance as well as BJP? Joining me now is political commentator and author Sanjay Jha, who's been the former spokesperson of the Congress. Thank you so much, Sanjay. It's wonderful to have you on Truth Be Told. And I'm sure we'll talk what is only true today. So my first question...
Thanks for inviting me.
My pleasure always, Sanjay. And my first question, of course, is the big takeaway, according to you, from the Haryana election. And what is your feeling after the results which you've seen? What is your instant reaction to this kind of a result?
Neelu, clearly a stunning verdict, especially in the light of the fact that not just the Congress party, but I think every analyst, forget the exit posters, etc., but practically everyone that I knew and talked to and read about, all of them predicted not just a Congress win, but a Congress hurricane sweep. In fact, Yogendra Yadav called it a virtual tsunami which was going to come in favor of the Congress. Why did everybody go wrong? I think there could be two reasons behind that. Number one, the Congress's vote share from the last assembly election to this election has gone up from 28% to nearly 39%. That's a very significant 40% jump between the last election to this election. Clearly, that meant that the crowds were looking bigger in number and possibly were more enthused. Now, that can create an imagery, a correct imagery, that you are pretty much ahead in the race. However, we are in a first past the post system, whereby even if the BJP and the Congress have got the same vote percentage, roughly the same 39 odd percent, the seats differ by whatever, 11 seats, etc. Now, the message from the Haryana election is that I think all elections from here on between the BJP and the Congress is going to be a tricky one for the Congress, because the BJP is always better in the last mile finish. Their ability to manage get the voter to come and vote in support of the party, I think remains their big strength. And the Congress is in a catch-up mode. Probably the complacency that's set in about the issues of the farmers, what we call as the Jawan, Kisan, Pehelwan and Samvidhan story. I think the Congress party assumed that yes, there is a general disaffection with the BJP, but was it enough for the party to believe that it was going to ride home? Again, you look at one other data point, Neelu, very carefully. In the Lok Sabha elections, the Congress was leading in 46 assembly constituencies out of the 90. So there was obviously belief that if in the Lok Sabha we could do it better despite Modi, then in a local election that number should go up. But I think elections are no longer about some kind of, I would say, an arithmetical forecast based on trends. It's about how you fight in every constituency, looking at the dynamics of that constituency itself. To give you an example, even if the Samajwadi Party or the Aam Aadmi Party has only had a 1% vote share, if you look at many of the seats, the Congress has lost by a margin which has been earned by the AAP candidate or the Samajwadi candidate. Now, I feel that the Congress should realize from its experience of Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, where again it was the same story, Neelu, expected to win with a handsome windfall, and you're getting a rude surprise. So my worry is that the complacency and the arrogance of the Congress into believing this was a done and dusted deal, the BJP acknowledged it by changing the chief minister. The issues were, there were no dearth of serious issues against the government. But I think end of day, the Congress's inability to manage its rebels, more importantly, to understand that every vote is going to count. I think that is the big lesson of this election. Number one, and this is critical, that you can't assume that the numbers that are coming up for you will convert to crowds unless you are able to take them right down to the last mile where BJP scores. And secondly, if you take your foot off the accelerator even for a momentary second, the other side is going to take advantage of it. And my last point, the BJP, remember, is not good in governance. But what the BJP does in the last 3 months or 6 months of any election is that it fights on a particular template, how they're going to campaign, how much money will go XYZ places, who's going to campaign where is Modi going to, make his speeches. I think their ability to create a very solid standard operating procedure is not being matched by the Congress. So you're seeing this happen very often. Too many issues, anti-incumbency is high, but the BJP happens to win in the end. And that's all because the BJP, what it doesn't do in 4.5 years, it does well in the last 6 months. And that's the lesson that the Congress needs to learn.
Right. You rightly put it, but the big question now is, which makes me question you on that is it possible for Congress to win any election from here on, given the fact that they had all the public sentiment by their side, there was no dearth of issues, they were planning, all the eggs were in Huda's basket, and Huda was driving the election, and there wasn't anybody more powerful than Bhupinder Huda as a Congress leader. Now, what is the hope left for Congress and also the hope for the India alliance as such? Because people are saying that, if this election at all has been manipulated, and I'm using the word if in quotes, that if it has been manipulated, then is it really possible to organizationally win any election against BJP? Are we to assume that, it's just not possible because BJP will try or pull out any trick under its hat, and then they will win the election. And all the strategies of the Congress, or for that matter, any party in the India alliance, might just completely fail. So what would you say to Sanjay?
Neelu, I can tell you BJP is highly beatable, extremely vulnerable when it faces an opponent who's as hungry as they are. I mean, look at the regional players. They don't have as much resources or as many leaders to campaign as the Congress has. But look at Mamata Banerjee, what she did to the BJP in West Bengal. Look at what Akhilesh did to the BJP in Uttar Pradesh. Look at how well, particularly I think Tejasvi and the Lalu's RJD does in Bihar. I think the Congress has to recognize that to beat the BJP in a one-to-one contest, you have more leaders than the other regional parties have. You have now a pretty strong brand of Rahul Gandhi on your side. You definitely have more financial resources. You have great political experience. I think what the Congress lacks is its ability to, one, get its flock together, and number two, work relentlessly on the ground and stop assuming that the BJP is going to give it to you because you have the habit of giving it to the BJP. The BJP does not reciprocate that sentiment. And I think that's something that the Congress can learn from the BJP. I'm going to tell you this, Neelu. The BJP has a party after winning an election for 4.5 years. Their governance track record is wretched. They are corrupt. They are hardly able to put up anything great in terms of performance. Why do they win? Because in the last 6 months, you follow the BJP template. They will announce a lot of schemes. Modi will come and campaign a little more than often. You'll find they'll spend money very liberally. They have more funds. Then they will poach candidates. That is the Amit Shah model. Then they will do what they call a social engineering, which is basically strike alliances with any Tom, Dick or Harry as long as they adds even a few votes to the BJP, right? And then it manages its booth. Why should the Congress be unable to do all that I have said? It's not rocket science. It's basically that the Congress begins to believe that the anti-incumbency will create a natural defeat for the BJP. It doesn't happen that way. I think where politics has changed, Neelu, is that the voter has become equally sharper, right? So if they are unhappy with the BJP for the last 4.5 years, Suddenly they see the BJP coming to them with hands folded and saying, please take this scheme, I will give you more money. And end of day, this is what I made a mistake, I'm going to change the candidate or the MLA candidate. They begin to believe, hang on, I'm ending it rather well, and a known evil is better than an unknown evil. So people are not willing to change. Now, I'll give you one example. In the Haryana elections, all analysts have talked about this Jat vote and why the non-Jat vote consolidation has gone against the Congress. But take a deep breath. Isn't the Dalit vote percentage very big in Haryana? It's over 20%. In fact, the OBC votes are bigger than even the Jat votes. So, and hasn't the Congress won with a Jat chief minister, and hasn't Mr. Devilal been and the other Bhajan Lals and all been there even before Mr. Huda? So when you have to fight an election, you have to carry the OBC, you got to carry the Jats, you got to carry the Dalits, you got to carry everybody. So the Congress's inability, for example, I believe the one mistake they made was to not allow Kumari Selja to fight the election. I mean, it's ridiculous that such a senior leader who wanted to fight the election was not allowed to do so. And with due respects to Mr. Huda, you see, I would have liked it if the Congress had made Dipender the face of the election as opposed to Mr. Bhupinder Singh Huda. You see, Mr. Huda is now 77 and he's a veteran and he's done well. I'm not going to deny that. That I felt that Dipender, and I know Dipender personally, he's a bright guy. He's a smart guy. I think if Dipender had been the face, probably he would have struck a deal with Kumari Selja and allowed her to contest an election and probably given her more visibility. The Congress during the campaign should have talked about, okay, not just one, but it will be a team of people who will head the party in the event that they win.
Stay ahead with our cutting edge news app. Instantly access the latest shorts in just 1 minute and breaking news in just 50 words. Download now for a smarter, faster news experience.